Thanks for joining us on the John Mendola Show. We're driven by McCarthy Tire and Automotive Centers. Let's talk Keystone College Giants baseball. Joining us is the head coach, Jamie Shevchik. Jamie, a good year this year when you guys are able to get to the field. I know the beginning of the year had some difficulty getting outside with the weather. And once again, here in the middle of April, we're dealing with a little bit of that stuff. But tell us about your team this year, Jamie.
Well, we started off slow, just like probably everybody else in the Northeast. Started off 3-9. I think we played our first 17 games before we were able to practice on a baseball field. It was all literally in the gym, practice on a gym floor, hitting a batting cage. The weather, I've been at Keystone for 17 years. Haven't seen a winter quite like this, but we started off slow. We played a handful of games in Virginia, then down in Florida, and we just couldn't put it together. I mean, we lost games every which way you can possibly think of. Once we started to get outside and put some things together in practice and finally start working on things, we've turned it around. You know, we've won 10 out of our last 12. We went from 3-9 to now 13 and 11, and we're now on top of our conference.
Well, you guys are putting it all together, as you mentioned. You believe it's just getting outside and getting on the field, and that's great. Tell us about your team this year as far as pitching. You always seem to have a nice stable of pitchers.
We're very deep. For the past couple of years, we always had that one dominant guy that went out there, and you always knew, you're in a good position where you're going to get a win no matter what. Rob Rogers last year, who's now pitching in the Los Angeles Dodgers organization, he was our horse last year. Prior to that, we had Sean Murphy, who's now pitching AAA with the Oakland Athletics. So we've always had that pro guy, and this year we might not have a pro guy this year, but we're deep. We're very deep on the mound. We've got about 8-9 guys that can get out there and start any day. It's just kind of figuring out who we're going to put in there where and who's going to come out of the bullpen. And we've played 24 games, and at this point we're still trying to figure out who those top guys are and who's going to be in the lineup.
Sounds all like good problems there as far as your pitching kids go. And, of course, I know you always mention you have a great staff, including a great pitching staff there at Keystone.
Yeah, and a lot of that is Chris Homer, our pitching coach. He does a great job. I mean, he's as professional of a pitching coach as you can get. And he spends a lot of time with those guys. Chris played with the Tigers in the Tigers organization for a few years. And once he's done with us, he goes and coaches professionally in the Frontier League in Florence, Kentucky. So, in my opinion, there's not a better pitching coach in the country, and he spends a lot of time getting these guys right.
Jamie Shevchik joining us here on the John Mendola Show. We are driven by McCarthy Tire and Automotive Centers, locations in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, Kingston, Hazleton, and Williamsport. Well, Jamie, talk about some of the guys who are at the plate for you and doing a good job hitting, whether it's the deep ball or just ripping some singles.
We are, I said we were deep in our pitching staff. I think we're even more deep with our position players. You look at our stats from last year, and even from the beginning part of this year, we're missing some key guys right now. Tyler Gurman was, by far probably our best hitter last year, and he's been battling through some injuries this year. Chris Bazowski was our everyday second baseman last year. He ruptured his spleen and was out last year and has kind of been struggling through that again this year. We just lost Dan Denton, our best RBI guy. So we've lost 4 or 5 starters here over the past couple of weeks, but it seems like every time we lose a guy, there's somebody right behind them just waiting in the wings to take their spot. So we've probably played 15 different lineups. We've used at least 16 or 17 different players, and everybody's playing really well.
Jamie, I think we talked about this before. The roster's really deep. I think you have somewhere around 40 guys.
We have 40 guys, yeah, and that's varsity, and we have a developmental program as well. And the developmental program it gives us the opportunity to play, an additional 20 games against other teams that have those kind of programs, or some people might call it a JV program. We use it to those young guys, those freshmen, those sophomores who might need a year or two to develop at the varsity level. They come to Keystone. They're playing in game situations right away. So it's a big benefit, and it also gives us the opportunity to carry a little bit more guys than most programs.
Jamie, the coaching experience that you guys have, I mean, I know you go up to the New England area and coach in the summer, and of course you mentioned, one of your assistants heads down to Kentucky. Those things are invaluable, I'm sure, with what you guys are able to bring back to the program. And again, you guys pretty much, it's baseball all year round for all of you.
Absolutely. When my season ends here, the end of May, I may have a week or two to, kind of relax a little bit. And then my family and I, including my assistant coach, Ryan Smythe, our hitting coach, we packed up and we move out to Danbury, Connecticut. Our season starts out there June 5th, and it's called the New England League. We're based out of Danbury, Connecticut. We play 55 games in 60 days in 8 different states, and it's 6 different states. But it's some of the best baseball players in the country. Our roster consists of guys from Georgia Tech, Tulane, Florida, all over Mississippi State, the team that was in the World Series last year. So it's some great competition, some of the best baseball players that you can be around throughout the summer. Great experience for us. And, there's no break. We get back from Connecticut in mid-August, and we start our fall program back up at Keystone.
You're living the baseball dream, Jamie Shevchik, working like a dog, as always, and you're getting some great results out of these young men. You mentioned guys that are moving on from Keystone to the next level, and I'm sure it's an endless count at this point of what guys are doing at that next level.
We've been very, very lucky. Our program has drawn a lot of attention by Major League Baseball scouts. We've had 7 players drafted by Major League clubs in the past 5 years, and a total of 24 players in those 7 years that have gone on to play professional baseball, whether they were drafted or signed as free agents. So, we're recruiting the right guys, and I think we're doing a pretty good job of developing those guys, and they're having opportunities to, play pro ball. The stigma of having to go down south or having to play in the ACC or the SEC or that big-time program to play professional baseball, I think we've kind of crushed that over the past couple of years.
Crushed it, you have, and of course you guys are hoping to crush it in your league. As you said, you're now have catapulted your way to the top, and there's going to be a whole lot of games over the next several weeks here. You're going to be playing triple headers, double headers all over the place, so you're going to need that depth.
The depth is going to come in handy, absolutely. We're looking at, we had 9 games scheduled this week. With doubleheader, we played on Sunday, single Saturday, doubleheader Sunday. Played yesterday at Misericordia. Scheduled to play tomorrow, doubleheader Thursday, doubleheader Saturday. A lot of baseball in a very short amount of time.
Well, Jamie, we wish you well. Always a pleasure talking with you about the Keystone College Giants. Thank you so much for joining us.
All right, John. Thanks for having me.
Keystone College baseball here on the John Mendola Show, driven by McCarthy Tire and Automotive Centers.